Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. My youngest son recently had a birthday, and for that birthday, he decided to ask for a watch. This is the same son who bought himself a Timex, the one that I reviewed a bit ago. He's not really a watch person, but he was looking for a piece that he could wear at work. He's wrapping up his EMT schooling and he hopes to eventually become a firefighter. So he wanted something really tough and rugged with a digital display so that he could easily see the seconds and use timers and stopwatches and whatnot. So of course, we were looking at G-Shocks. He didn't want one that was overly bulky, so we were looking at G-Shock squares. And I feel like when he opened the gift, I might have been just as excited as he was. I've never seen a G-Shock square in person, and the one that we got him was pretty cool. And this is the G-Shock that we got him. It is the GWM 5610-1. These retail for around $150, so not too terrible. Tonight we're going to review this watch. So let us begin. So here is my son's G-Shock square. I don't think he's actually worn it yet, but this is a pretty great watch. It's a tough solar watch, and it syncs its time using a radio signal in conjunction with the atomic clock. That's pretty cool. So it has a typical G-Shock strap on it. I don't think he has the box anymore. He's not really a watch person, so I think the first thing he did was toss that. I did have to spend some time with the manual online so I could figure out how to use this. It's been a while since I've had a G-Shock. Way back in the day I had a translucent green one and an orange one. That was probably in the early 2000s. And then I had a big, quote, dive G-Shock. And I think that one had a depth rating on it and a compass, all kinds of stuff. It was gigantic. And I ended up getting rid of that and moving on to just dive watches. So I believe the module that's in this is the 3159. You can see that it's kind of smaller as G-Shocks go. It's 46.7 millimeters wide. The squares just look so great. Looking at the case back, there's some etching there with all kinds of information on it and 4 screws that secure it. And this watch has decent water resistance too. It's not terribly thick. I read a review on this watch and one of the downsides that they called out were the buttons. And these are somewhat difficult to press. So those could be a pain if you're using them often, but yeah. This dial is really cool. We went with one that had a touch of red on there. I thought that would be kind of cool if he did get on as a firefighter. He's got a little pop of red on his watch. So when you get one of these watches, you can set your home city. And I think it automatically adjusts for daylight savings. However, this was an hour ahead. So I manually put it back to 12. I'm not sure if it's going to bump it back forward again when it syncs using the radio. I'll have to check on it tomorrow and see. But down here at the bottom, very tiny, there's a power reserve indicator. Because again, this is a tough solar watch. Currently it is at high, so there's a low, medium, and high, and a little bar above it lights up where you're at level-wise. And apparently this thing will go 10 months on a full charge, and 22 months if you have it in power save mode, which I believe this is in, because there's a little PS indicator up in this top corner. And when he got this out of the drawer tonight, the display was blank, so it had gone into power save automatically. So that's pretty cool. To change your settings and whatnot, you press and hold this button here. When you do that, it'll instruct you to hold it, and then it'll beep. And right now, if I press these buttons here, we can change our home city. Using this button, you can advance through what you're setting. So now we can set the time and just kind of iterate through everything, the year and date, and so on. And then you can press this again to escape that settings mode. And we're right back here. This thing is nice and easy to read. We did not go with the negative display for that reason, just to keep it super legible. So when he's in high stress situations, if he needs to watch the seconds for taking blood pressure or whatever, it'll be nice and easy for him to read it. The light on this watch is blue. Let's look at that. If I can find the button that initializes it. That was not it. There it is. It's a cool color. And it's super easy to read. Yeah, that light looks great. I love how retro the G-Shock squares are. They're retro and yet not. It's really cool. It's a nice hybrid of something you would see in the 80s or 90s, but it still is contemporary at the same time. As for the specifications on this watch, the case size is 46.7 millimeters. The case height is 12.7 millimeters. The lug-to-lug is 43.2 millimeters. I'm not entirely certain on the lug width. As you can see, it's sort of integrated, and it's not really designed to be swapping straps. My understanding is it's pretty difficult to do so. The crystal is mineral, and the water resistance is 200 meters. And a fairly comprehensive list of the features of this module is it has world time, stopwatch, a timer, 5 alarms, a blue light. The calendar is good up until 2099. It's solar powered, and it has a radio time adjustment, and it attempts to sync with the atomic clock 6 times a day. The first time it succeeds, it doesn't try again until the next day. It has a 12 or 24 hour display on it. It displays the weekday. And as I mentioned, if you're not in power save mode, a full charge should last you 10 months. In power saver mode, it should last you 22 months, which is pretty crazy. And as for accuracy, these are rated at plus or minus 15 seconds per month. And that's if it doesn't sync with the atomic clock. Otherwise, it is spot on all the time, at least from day to day. Alright, so let me take off the space view, and we'll see what it's like when you're wearing the G-Shock Square. I haven't even tried putting this watch on yet, so it'll be interesting to see what it looks like on my wrist. And here is the Tough Solar radio synchronizing G-Shock Square on my 7-inch wrist. And that does not look bad at all. Crazy. I expected it to look huge. It doesn't even look terribly thick. Yeah, I may have to get a G-Shock Square at some point. That is really cool. I love that pop of red there, along with the blue. That is great. Of course, if this was mine, I would have it set to 24 hour, because I feel like that just looks great. But yeah, this should be perfect for his work, his future work. Very cool. So there you have it, my son's amazing G-Shock Square. This watch is pretty cool. I may have to pick one up at some point. Thanks for watching.